Welcome in everyone to another edition of the CORECAST. As usual, I am your host, Mike Carlson, and today joined by a super special guest. He is the founder and owner of XIP Training, Adrian Geyer. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. I'm stoked to be able to chat with you today.
Well, we're stoked to be able to chat with you, and I just want to jump right into, tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get started? Give me your comic book number one. What's kind of the genesis and the origin of you getting into training and really getting into sports training in specific?
Yeah, well, I think everybody's got their story that, especially in this field, I think you have to have a real strong foundation and why for what drives you to want to help other people. And for me, I grew up an athlete in a very athletic family. So it was very, that's what was normal to us. But ultimately, I went to an elite ski academy, went to a couple different high schools, but that ski academy where we lived the life of an athlete. And what I mean by that is that it was eat, sleep, train, compete. And that was something that stuck with me for a long time, and to this day. So it was that and an injury. I was in a bad car accident. Somebody drove across the center line and hit us head on, and that really changed my own, my athletic life. And it led to a lot of rehabilitation, reconditioning, and ultimately, that sort of fight to get back to what was. And that happened for a reason is the way I look at it. I was lucky enough to make it out. It did change some athletics for me, but it also led me to have this, real desire to help others the way that, athletic trainers and therapists and doctors had helped me coming back. So that kind of led to a change in majors in college. I was wildlife biology. And then I made the switch to actually switch schools and changed into a program in strength and conditioning, exercise science. And the rest is kind of history in terms of what led me to that field. And that was, somewhere in college was when I decided that, I want to be a trainer, a strength coach. And after college, started a job in New Hampshire near Dartmouth College, and was surrounded by some really great people, great mentors, and people that were just so fired up about the field and helping others. And that led to wanting to do the same thing for my hometown and the community here and the athletes here. So 3 years down the road from working in the field as a trainer and strength coach, decided to take the plunge and open up my own place, and that's where XIP was born.
Well, and take me into that a little bit, because I think it's so fascinating to, like you said, you switched your majors, you've been in the field for a little bit. What was the reason for founding XIP? I mean, you could have gone one route and just, stayed, in kind of just the track you were on, but you decided to, say, I'm going to not only be a trainer, I'm going to start my own business and start my own practice and really training philosophy around that. What went into that founding decision and to really start XIP?
Well, there was nothing else here. So there was really no other options for, I knew that I wanted to help the local community. I mean, I love this area. And I knew that at some point I wanted to be here, not just because family was here and because this was home, but geographically it has a lot of what I need outside of work and, my career path. So that was, really it was the only way that I was going to get back here and to make a living, to support myself, pay off those college bills and so, but also because deep down, I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to help these kids here and not just kids, but all athletes. And there was nothing here. I felt like maybe I could make a difference And I think that ultimately is what it comes down to is, to be able to make a difference at some level is very important to me. That drives me.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be, I don't have to be famous in any way, but if I can help make a difference in somebody's life through, through training, then, that means a lot. That drives me.
No, and I absolutely love that. And it's something that in all the trainers that we've talked to, that's what it comes down to. It's about making a difference, not only in a physical sense in that you're getting stronger, faster, meeting those sports specific goals, but in a holistic sense as well. You're making a difference. Exercise, sports are such a positive outlet for so many different things. And to be able to give, people an avenue to pursue those, whether it's, your guy who's just trying to stay in shape and stay athletic, or someone who's more of a sports specific athlete who's trying to meet a specific goal. It makes a difference no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that, it's, you can call it selfish, but we have to have that inner drive. You have to have that fire. And if you really don't enjoy and you can't find that why, then, I think that you're going to have a hard time being successful in changing other people's habits and lifestyles and changing the human body if you can't do that. So, and that's for anything that we do. You have to be passionate. It's a short life we live, and to not have that passion every day it's a hard thing. So
totally. Well, I want to dive into XIP because I think, first of all, the whole stuff you have going on there, it's just tremendous. And one of the things that stuck out to me, and this has been a common theme with everyone we've talked to, is that you talk about everyone there's an athlete. Every single person who walks in the door, you focus on this idea of everyone's an athlete. Everyone can be given the privileges and be given kind of the, ability to feel like they're an athlete. Why, of all the different philosophies and things out there, did you kind of hone in on that, being one of the big beliefs with XIP is that everyone is an athlete and everyone should be treated as such?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all, as you know, we all must perform on some level every day. And I think that, very early on, we train all levels and all, like I could never make enough. I could never make enough in a day if I was just focused on high school athletes or the competitive athlete, because it just wouldn't fill my schedule. So, the adult population is very important to, that's a very, very important part of our business model. And, especially in this area where we're not just surrounded by professional athletes and elite level athletes. Yes, we have some who train with us and some very high level college and high school athletes, but again, that wouldn't fill our schedule. So making sure that people felt, as though this was a good option for them was important. And in the beginning, the word, I mean, XIP is extra innings performance. And that word performance could be very daunting, scary for people. To maybe they think, oh my gosh, I'm not a competitive athlete, therefore that's not the place, for me. And I didn't want that to be the case. Our slogan is better performance for life. So like being able to go, what is your extra inning? Like, it's kind of a play on words, and how can we help improve that? So it was more of a mindset. And if you have that mindset of I'm an athlete and I'm here to improve my performance on some level, whatever that might be, the weekend warrior riding their bike, skiing, we have a ton of up here, or the competitive athlete, the high school kid or the college athlete or the professional athlete, we all must perform on some level every day. And having that mindset, having a purpose that it's bigger than just a workout, and anybody can go just sweat, but to have this purpose and to have something bigger that we want to achieve is a very vital piece of that process. And this is what we wanted, or I should say what I wanted this goal-oriented sort of mindset from the people that came through our doors, because everybody overlaps here. You know, we'll have, just this morning, I had 2 professional athletes, snowcross athletes, here at the same time as they overlap with a boot camp, you know, of middle age to adults. And then there was training right alongside, although on different programs, with those professional athletes, was guys in their 60s and early 70s, guys who still throw down on the ski hill and on their mountain bikes. And, you know, you might walk in and be like, oh my God, you know, look at this guy go. But everybody has the same approach and the same mindset, and they can sit down after their workout and say, hey, you know, hey Link, how was your workout? And he can look to the 70-year-old plus guy and be like, yeah, you kicked ass on that Airdyne today, or whatever. You looking good. And everybody's the same, you know, and it's just, we're at different places, we're at different levels. And so I think that's the biggest reason why, that I kind of knew that going in, that we had to have some diversity in our populations that we train. And, you know, you want to make sure that you market accordingly, so that you can run your business. Because the fact is, you got to get people through the doors if you want to pay the bills. And so, yeah.
That's really fascinating. And you hit on a lot there, so I want to unpack a whole lot of it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh my gosh, no, I love it. So I think it's interesting, you know, you talk about your training, you know, guys who are 60, 70-year-old, you know, boot camp, who are still absolutely just crushing it, you know, professional snowcross athletes. Skiing, you talked about, is, you know, a big one. Baseball, all these different sports. How do you approach, you know, training such a wide variety of athletes? I mean, obviously you're looking at someone like, you know, what are your needs athletically, you know, what are your goals, but, you know, what have been some of the key learnings from training people, you know, all the way from your 67-year-old who's mountain biking to your professional snowcrosser to maybe someone who's, you know, pitching or playing, you know, some kind of a traditional, you know, basketball, baseball, football type of sport. What's that like, and what have been some of those learnings from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you try not to complicate it too much, and understand that the human body, especially when it comes to, you know, performance, it's sport of any level, is very dynamic. And, you know, I think that's where the one of the similarities would be that, you know, understanding that the body, like, to move dynamically and be kinetic, like, we have to train that way. We have to treat the body as such. It's not as easy as just like, come in, do those movements, and therefore you will be better in your sport. Like, it doesn't work that way. And, you know, some people understand that and others don't. I mean, the very novice level athlete, it's the analogy of a toothpaste container. In the beginning, you can squeeze the toothpaste anywhere in the tube, and toothpaste is going to come out. Think of that as like the beginner trainee. But then what happens when you're getting down to the end and you've squeezed all the toothpaste out of the top? Like, you got to squeeze that tube in the right place to be able to have adaptation and to see improvements happen. So, you know, in what I've learned in the getting closer to 15 years now of doing this, is that I treat all athletes in that manner. Like, they all come through the door, and they might have a different reason. Maybe it's recover from an injury, or reconditioning to begin with, or what have you. But again, having that mindset of, I'm an athlete and I want to perform in these things, whatever that might be, sport, just the sport of life, chasing your grandkids around, for example, that's sport. You know, having that mindset allows us to always come back to, okay, well, how are we going to get the body to perform in this manner for you? And, you know, that, I guess I'm taking a long way around here, but
no, go for it.
We want athletes who are able to move kinetically like that, like link all systems and segments together, to be very, you know, as I always say, you know, even if you're 70, we want to be the bounciest 70-year-old that we can be. You don't want to be static and robotic.
Yeah.
And I think that that is the biggest in terms of my learning curve. And I still feel like I know nothing, but the biggest learning curve being that early on, it was like, okay, I'm going to write this program and then fit these movements to this athlete, and therefore they will be better. And I just realized that that's not the case. Like, you can make them really great in the gym, but I need for what we do in here to make you great in your sport, in your activity. And so understanding that the body is such a kinetic and dynamic beast that's how we ultimately will work to train the athlete. Now, you'll always have some roadblocks, especially if if somebody comes in with an ACL reconditioning. Well, yeah, obviously we gotta make that thing good too. But that knee, the first thing I do with a reconditioning client is say, hey, remember, this knee is just like, look at the whole body. Look how big that is. This knee is such a small piece of you. Like, let's understand that that's just a small piece of everything. Like, you're not broken, you're compromised, sure, but we're going to train everything. And yeah, we're going to focus on that, but ultimately we can't forget about everything else. And I think that having that more holistic mindset has been very helpful in writing programs and developing strategies, to help athletes improve. So did I answer your question?
No, you were 100% there. And again, it's like, you keep answering. I'm like, oh my God, like there's more I want to dive into. And I think you talk about being dynamic, moving, your training. It's not just, hey, sit in one area and do this. It's a full body movement the entire way. And I think that's always been one of the things that I've always admired with it. Whenever I've seen a video come across my feed, I'm like, okay, like you're moving, like you're not just doing like the traditional, like, hey, I'm going to sit here and do 10 squats and call it a day. Like, you're moving, you're dynamic. What was the inspiration behind that? I mean, there's a lot of people have a lot of different approaches, but you've kind of focused in on this, body as a whole dynamic machine. Is there anything, in your early days training that you were like, okay, that's the way I'm going to go down, as opposed to maybe this other path?
Well, I think that, for any professional in our field that went through the academic approach to receiving a degree in exercise science, and you almost get in some ways pigeonholed, and I'm not trying to downplay my degree and what I learned, because that's vital. However, what the book tells you is only, it only gets you so far. And honestly, I think that not to go down another rabbit hole, but
okay.
Like, when you get out of school, you've learned this, you've got this bit of a foundation, more or less, of like, how does the body work? But now, like there's this art and this intuition that you only get with experience. And I think that the biggest tragedy is when trainers, coaches don't allow that organic sort of change to happen as you learn more and realize that, okay, that wasn't the best approach, the way I did it in the beginning. That doesn't mean it was wrong, but it means I need to learn. Like, I have to be always evolving and learning, or else it's just like we talk about movement, then my programming and my approach is static, and robotic. And so you get out of school and you'll have this foundation of, that's what I know, and people are comfortable. I'm not going to have you do something that I'm not comfortable with, that I don't understand. If you're my client. So, and then we slowly evolved. But I think, to answer your question, it was that I started seeing that those perfectly drawn out plans, being a program or whatever, it wasn't, I'm like, man, nothing, like I didn't get the result that I wanted. So one of the things that we say quite often here is monitor and measure where you want to see change. Well, if Mike walks in and this is his goals and this is where he wants to see change, one of my jobs is to help you see those changes happen. If I wasn't able to do that, then I would probably lose my job. You might go hire somebody else. I am a nice guy, so you might stick around for a little bit longer. But
of course, yeah, of course.
it came down to me standing on the sidelines and hearing parents, you know, of some of these younger athletes saying, "Oh my gosh, look at how he's moving," you know, "Oh man, look at those cuts," you know, or "Oh, I felt like I could, you know, absorb, you know, when I was riding my snowmobile," or those athletes, like I just felt better through this or that. What you never hear is those parents or the feedback that says, "Oh wow, look at little Johnny move. Looks like he's squatting more." Like,
Yeah.
nobody says that. They say, "Oh, he looks faster. He looks more dynamic." Like things you can see. Now, hey, I'm not trying to downplay. There's a time and a place to lift, and you got to get stronger too. But I realized that kind of conventional approach, I needed more. Like we needed to find ways to really like sharpen the scalpel for their sport. Again, bringing it back to how can I make them better for their sport and not just better for the gym, because ultimately nobody gives to, you know what, how much you lift if you can't move well on the field. So it was trying to find the best strategies to help them move better in their sport, like just move well. And ultimately that's what led to more durability, less injury, you know, seeing athletes that were more dynamic, but also able to be like, they could handle more situations that they encounter in their sport. And that was when it clicked. And I was like, whoa, you know, like it's not how much weight on the bar, it's the speed of the bar, or using the bar as an example, or how much flow you have in your movement versus are you moving more robotically, and those sort of changes, like thinking about the fascia versus just the muscle, and how is energy transferred through the body. And that to me is still like, I'm just obsessed now with those systems in our training and how to integrate that for the 70-year-old and then for the 8-year-old, you know? So
no, I think I think it's really interesting. And the thing that sticks out there the most to me that you said is, you know, everyone talks about it's how I feel, how I'm moving, I'm more durable. You know, no one looks at you, you know, whether you're running outside or, you know, on the pitcher's mound or on the ski slope, like, wow, that guy looks like he could really move he could really bench, like he could really move some weight, or he could really, you know, like you said, squat. It's about movement, and it's about being able to move in a way that's, you know, durable, sustainable, and more importantly, just easy, with ease, in the sense that you're not feeling clunky, you're not feeling robotic. It's very movement based first. And like you said, there's a time and a place to really move some weight around, but the focus is, it shouldn't just be on that. It should be on, you know, how am I moving, and really more importantly, how am I feeling right now?
Absolutely. You said a word there. You said sustainable. Now that is a key piece to it, is what I'm doing here. These athletes that are coming in at whatever level, am I helping them sustain this way of life for the longest period possible? Because if I'm not, right, like force over time, you are going to pay for that. So although we must at some point change the tensile, you know, properties of a muscle if we hope to get greater power and speed, etc., like it all will come at a cost per se if you go too far. And it's understanding that helping, again, the mindset is like, people don't come in here, you know, to try to get the Instagram post of them maxing out. Like they know that Coach Geyer isn't like, sure, you're going to see a video or two that go up, especially our boy Pat. He loves to do that. But it's that, you know, I want to see you moving better. I really, although that's a part of it, you know, again, the lifting, etc. I want to see you moving better, and know that when I run into you in 20 years, that, you know, you say, man, the things that I learned have helped me way after sport is done, competitive sport. I'm still using those principles to help me be a better moving human being. Like, oh, that just makes me feel good. Without a doubt. So good word. That's awesome.
There. Thank you. Hey, I try. We try as we kind of build out this podcast. I want to talk about something it's really interesting. It's something that's relatively new to if you want to call it the XIP family of brands. Tell me a little bit about Ridgeline. I think it's a really fascinating concept, and it's something that it feels, not only very, true to the core XIP, kind of ideals, but it feels like something that's also incredibly relevant and just super interesting. So I would just love to know more about that and where that started.
Yeah. So Ridgeline Athlete is a side brand to XIP. It's a completely online. Well, that's not true. It's more than online, because we have athletes here going through those training in that manner. Basically what it was Ridgeline Athlete is geared towards backcountry athletes. Now that's what I do now. My it's like, what drives me? Here I am training all these athletes. What drives me to train and to continue to push towards my goals? And my goals lie in being a more effective backcountry athlete. I love to hunt. And the way that I hunt is not sitting in a tree stand. And a lot of the people that come to me for training are looking, like, that's their goal too. Like, hey, I'm going on an elk hunt and I need to be prepared for elevation, for carrying heavy load, for living out of a tent for 7 days, etc. Like, that's a sport, and how our bodies, are prepared for that is vital to the success. It's no different than any other sport. I literally yesterday I got on a track of a big buck here in New England. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I'm irritating people that aren't into that, but I track these deer. So, at daylight I started and I was not successful, but I was able to chase that animal, basically is what is happening, the entire day. I didn't get back to my truck until after dark. My body is a wreck today, but the only way that I could do that was due to my training, and I have to make those changes. So Ridgeline Athlete is online training. We have a website, ridgelineathlete.com. You can both purchase standalone programs through our virtual training app or platform, or you can work with myself one-on-one, the same way that we work with any other athlete of any other sport. It was just allowing, sometimes it needed its own sort of side brand, because I think there's times when people are like, all they do at XIP is everything but that. And I was like, well, wait a minute, that's what I do. That's what I love to do. So, and we trained so many of those athletes already. And there was other brands out there. And some of them, I think, do a good job, but there was also some who were more or less just using good marketing to use, it wasn't specific to what these athletes needs and their needs and the demands of that type of sport, which for those of us who do it, like, it's not, you don't need to, it's a different type of training.
Exactly.
So that's where it came from. And we have athletes now, it's COVID kind of changed things for everybody. So that took a back seat to just surviving at XIP. But we have athletes all over the country now, out to California and Colorado and Utah, and then here in the Northeast. And I think others are slowly starting to hear about it. We've been having an impact and making a difference in that sort of world.
Totally. And then you brought up, I think, just an incredible point there. It's a different type of training, being out, in nature, being out, like you said, in backcountry. I'm a proud Coloradan. So you brought up Colorado. So I had to bring that up. And as someone who's climbed a couple of 14ers myself, it's different. It's 100%. It's a different mindset. It's a different level of skills. You're not doing anything, physically exhausting in the sense that, like, you're running or you're jumping or you're, sprinting or doing all these things that you would normally expect to do on a field. You're, now having to deal with just, walking up an incline, walking up switchbacks and, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 foot elevation all the way up to 14,000, and then walk back down. On the surface, doesn't look physically taxing because you're like, I'm just walking, but it's a whole other group of muscles and a
Oh my God.
whole other system of the body that you're having to use to achieve that goal that's very different than what you'd find if you're out on, a field or out on a track.
Absolutely. Yeah, the incline alone. I mean, one, that's resistance on the way up. Not to mention that when it's steep, people forget your heel is not on the ground.
Yeah.
So like what's happening at the foot and the ankle, which the foot and the ankle is something that has totally obsessed me at all levels, every sport. I wish I knew more about that early on in my career. But yeah, like it's so different. Not to mention when you come down, like, oh, well, you get to come down. That absolutely demolishes your, especially like your quads if you're under load. Try lugging out an elk quarter. You got 100 pounds on your back and you're coming downhill. Like if you haven't prepared for that, yeah, you'll make it through. Like a lot of it is how strong you are mentally.
Oh yeah.
But what if you want to go do it again the next day?
Totally.
So what if, these people are on a week-long hunt in the backcountry, and if you truly want to get the most out of that hunt, like you've got to be physically prepared. You got to have this up here, and you have to be able to, make the shot. Like I can't help you with that part. But potentially if your heart rate isn't so freaking jacked that maybe you can't calm down, then potentially yes. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun for me because that's what drives me. I'm so sad right now because we had all this nice snow and we're getting like a heat wave here for the next 10 days. Oh my God. At least you guys aren't burning anymore though out in Colorado.
No, not anymore currently, but yeah, it's been brutal for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I'm so fascinated with it. And like I said, as someone who's done it firsthand, it's 100% something that, it's a need of a group of athletes who are very much athletes that needs to be addressed. And it's a different set of skills. You're going from, hey, I'm on flat track clay and I just got to go run in a circle to switchback side of a mountain. Sun is beating down, wind is there. You've got a Camelback on with snacks. And if it's just, one day, that's all you got. You got the water, the snacks, everything else. But if it's multiple days, you've got a tent potentially and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So I was so fascinated when I learned about Ridgeline, and I just think it's such a cool way to meet the needs of a group of athletes who, the field is very different, but have to still perform at a high level and in conditions that are, adverse to say the least.
Absolutely. Wildly inconsistent.
Yes.
Like never the same.
Exactly.
Well, we'll have to get you hooked up then, Mike, with a program.
Hey, I'd be the first one to give it. I got 2 14ers. I think we got I forget how many, but it's definitely way more than I think 40 or 50 to go out here. So if we could get me in a good enough spot to be able to climb those, I'd be the first one to sign up for Ridgeline. Are you kidding me? I did one this summer and was fried at the end of it. So if you could at least get me to do 2 in a weekend, I'm sold, man. I'm 100% sold.
Well, that's good. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll take care of you.
Hey, I appreciate that. Well, I got one more XIP question, and then I want to get to the rapid fire, which I'm really excited to have you do. Was looking at the website, and you talk about 3 requirements that you have of all of your athletes. You talk about passion, never putting in half of an effort, and enjoying the ride. Where did those kind of 3 requirements, where did those come from? Is there some sort of a story or inspiration or learning? Why, of all the different things that you could choose, did you hone on those 3 things with XIP?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're not passionate about your training, I mean, let's face it, we're making your body uncomfortable. Like we're putting your body into places where it's not the normal. It's not comfortable, so that we will adapt. And if you're not passionate about doing that, you're going to struggle. I mean, we're not trying to, it's not that, trying to kill anybody in here, but it's like, you're going to be uncomfortable. And if you're not passionate, you don't have that mental sort of fortitude to help you through those situations, then it's going to be tough. And then, you know, I'm so passionate. I put so much passion into training these, you know, these humans, that if you can't reciprocate that, like, we have to have that sort of energy flow. It's not just about me, and it's not just about you. Like, we're a team. And if both sides don't, you know, reciprocate, then it's very hard to have a successful training environment and relationship. The number two, I think you cut out it. Don't put in a half-ass effort.
Yeah.
It's okay. I saved you. Yeah, I mean, like, if it's a job worth doing, like, you got to do it right. And I'm not putting that effort into you. You know, you're getting the best out of me. And again, I want to get the best out of you. And sometimes that means that I have to be like, I got to be a coach, and I got to find ways to pull that out of you. But yeah, that's my job. But you got to come ready to throw down every day, because, you know, that's how this works. And that's the fun part of finding success with the human body and in your training. And then I think the third one is smile and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be fun. You know, I mean, I get serious, and I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm also going to have fun. And, you know, the last thing I want is to be people come in here and, you know, be like, oh, Coach Geyer, he's such a, you know what, he just hammers me for an hour, and then I walk out and there wasn't even a smile on his face. Like, that would be horrible. You know, I mean, people pay money for this. And even at, like, in the high school level, I'm a head strength coach at a local high school, and have been at the college level as well. If people are coming in to go through this, it's tough, right? Like, we're asking the body to do something that it's not normally doing, so that it will adapt to that. And if you can't have some fun in there too,
totally,
you know, then it's going to get dull. It's going to be hard to get through it. Because there is a human side to training and having those relationships, and having meaningful conversation with somebody, and a little bit of humor is a great way to find better success in your training. So, you know, if somebody can't smile, you're probably need to go find somewhere else to train. And that's the same with our coaches. I mean, I've had great interviews with coaches in the past, and they never smiled. They they didn't have that sort of sense of humor and whatever, and they get hired, because it's that important. The human side of training is far more important than anything you'll ever put on paper or learn in school. Like, you got to be, as Boyle would say, he's the first one I heard say it, certified nice person. You know, that is the most important certification that you can have if you want to be successful in this field. If you're not nice, then you go piss up a rope or something. Yeah, that works for you.
Exactly. I love that answer. And this is one of the parts of the interview I'm really looking forward to. It's the rapid fire. We're going to ask you 5 questions. We're going to have a little bit of fun with it. I'm so interested to get your take on this first one. What is your favorite exercise or movement?
Oh, geez. Favorite exercise or movement? I mean, Mike, that is such a hard question for the trainer. Like, I love all movements, but I guess that sprinting, you know, I mean, I love that. Like, you can't, here's the way I look at it is like, the favorite movement or exercise should be the one that keeps you alive the longest.
That's a great point.
If you can't run away from somebody that's trying to catch you, you know, or something, like, let's go back to the saber-toothed tiger. If you're slow, you're dead. And if you can't catch the turkey or whatever, you're the deer. Like, if you can't physically get yourself in position to get your food, sustainability, well, then you're not going to survive. You're dead, you know? And then finally, I mean, if you think about from muscular activation and just like what's best, like running, sprinting, is going to, it's super high speed. It's very dynamic. You're using the entire kinetic, like the whole system, super coordinated motion. There's a lot of like motor cortex involvement, you know, at the
Yep.
brain level. And so, yeah, sprinting.
I love that. You're the first person to answer sprinting, and I think
Are you kidding me?
you're the first, but I love it. It's the one that keeps you alive the longest. That's the only defense anyone needs to hear. Sprinting right now, top of the list for me. So you're 1 for 1. This next one I'm interested in. So let's just say you've just gotten done, you know, with a hunt. You've been outdoors. Maybe you've gotten done training. You know, what is your go-to meal afterwards? Where are you going to treat yourself? Or are you going to go treat yourself? Or are you going maybe with a healthy option? You've just been outside. You've been doing a lot of work. What's the first stop for you? Where are you going to eat?
That's easy. That's backstrap salad.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We love. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest reasons I love to hunt is to be able to procure my own, you know, meat, clean meat.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely a meat eater, as my whole family is. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, having that good, clean stuff is the best. And then, you know, salad, making sure I'm getting my greens and.
Yep.
And probably a glass of milk with it. You know, and that's basically what we eat.
Perfect.
Greens and meat, and pretty boring. Nobody would have a whole lot of fun eating at our house. But
well, I think you get points for catching your own meal there. So I don't think that's boring at all. For going out and getting you're not exactly going down to the store to get your own meat in that scenario. You're going out, you're earning it.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
That's the hope. Yeah. But you're getting points there. You're 2 for 2 right now. So I absolutely love where this is at. This next one, I'm always fascinated when we ask this one. If you weren't a trainer, if you weren't doing what you are doing now, you would be doing what?
I'd be living off grid in the woods.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, my wife and I talk about it quite often. And you know, people listen to the show, maybe be like, oh, let's listen to this hipster here. Like he just, you know, it's like
a good answer.
No, I mean, honestly, man, it's probably one of the greatest reads I had in the last 2 years was, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain cramp after I throw that out. Richard Louv, it's The Last Child in the Woods.
Okay,
and
interesting.
He makes a play on words. He said it's saving children from nature deficit disorder. Mm-hmm. And that's not a real disorder. He was just kind of making a joke there, but it's a phenomenal book on how important nature is to our health and performance too. I mean, there's actually a ton of study in there that would relate back to the competitive athlete. But yeah, I mean, we joke that like we watch Alaska, The Last Frontier, or some of these shows that are out in the, or these homesteaders. And, it's like my wife was drinking tea the other day and she said, she goes, oh, listen to this. And on the, the little thing on the tea bag, it had a little saying, and it was, nature never hurries, but everything always gets done. And it's like, sometimes we get so caught up in not being present, like the first thing I say, I'll have these fall camps with 100+ kids on the field, not during this summer, but in years past. And the first thing I would say, I'd bring them all in and be like, guys, the only thing I need from you right now is for you to be present. I need you to be right here where your feet are, because until you can do that, you are never going to get 100% out of what we're about to do in this workout, And they're like, it makes sense. Like if you're thinking about something else, well, then maybe 20% of your mind is there and it's not here in your training and in life. And I think that that's what draws me to the outdoors so much, is that I am nowhere else. When I'm tracking that buck yesterday, I can't be anywhere else, because guess what? He's not. And if my brain is elsewhere, and then he wins, and as it is, he won anyway. So I think that we as humans have gotten so far away from just being present. And I tell you, you don't have to hunt, fish, any of that stuff. Just go spend some time in the outside, grow a garden, and just get back to our roots. So yeah, I hope anyway. I don't know if I could I don't know about money or however that would work, but I'd be trying to homestead or doing something like that. Maybe give me some Wi-Fi and I'll just train Ridgeline
Yeah.
athletes online and go about it like that.
Okay. So again, you're 3 for 3. Loved all the answers to this point. This next one, I got this one, and then I got one more. What's your favorite part of your job?
It's connecting with humans, just like having meaningful relationships with other human beings. I mean, other trainers, coaches know that so much energy and time. I mean, I was here at 5:45 this morning, especially now with, we lost some staff with COVID. My days, a short day is 11 hours.
Yeah.
So all of this time that I spend at work, I need to have, again, selfishly, I need to have something that gives back, to me in a way that makes it all worth it, especially when I'm pulling that time from my family. Like I got 2 little kids and they would love to have me home. I spend less time with my family than I do here. Yeah. So I need to be able to connect and have relationships and bullshit about, the game you watch on the weekend or whatever. Like, we need to be able to do that too, the human side of it. And I feel thankful that I have that opportunity, that I might not be getting rich, but I'm also not, I'm not sitting here in this office all day.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I'm able to move around and connect with humans and make a difference again in other people's lives. So yeah, I guess that's my answer there.
I love that. 4 for 4. Last one. This is one that we always ask, and it's one that I love all the answers to. We're all about building strength. So I want to know, what gives you strength?
Again, it's that energy, the energy that people give back. There's nothing that drives me more crazy than people that just show up. And I don't mean here, because I got a pretty, my audience here, I think that being in business for a long time has helped with that. Like, people know, it kind of self-selects, right?
Yeah.
Like that energy that I get when I'm with 100 kids on the field or the gym, like we have these, you'll have something great happen. Somebody pushes really hard and they make it through, and they maybe they get a PR, or maybe they don't, and they're like, you can just tell that they just conquered that workout. They set themselves up for such a great day and whatever. That gives me energy and just gets me fired up. Whereas a true, like, the energy suck, that's what's hard for me. It's like, people that just don't care, and don't care enough and don't reciprocate again. That gives me strength, and that keeps me firing and forging ahead and keeps me excited so that I can give that energy to the next person to come in,
Totally. Well, okay. 5 for 5. You crushed the rapid fire. Aces across the board. So
does anybody ever
fail? No, so yet we've had no fails so far, but you never know in the rapid fire. You never know in the rapid fire. That's why we do it at the end of every show. Before we wrap up, where can we find you on social media? I want to make sure that we're showing you as much love as we can on social media. So where can we find you, and how can we show you some love?
Yeah, absolutely. So XIP training, I think it's XIP_training on Instagram. We have a Facebook account as well. And then Ridgeline Athlete is also on Instagram. And, we have a Facebook page as well, but then you can also reach out to me through email. I think that, every coach says that, like, you can reach out to me and send me questions. I think that so few people actually do that. And I'm always open to that. It's great to have conversations with new people, and so you can reach me at xiptraining at gmail.com. And there is if it pertains to Ridgeline Athlete, it's ridgelineathlete at gmail.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Adrian, I appreciate you coming on the show. This has just been an absolute blast. This is just, we've touched on so much. So I can't say thanks enough. We can't say thanks enough. This is going to be just an incredible episode, and we are so excited to have you on again.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, Mike. It's always great to chat, and you know, Anchor is doing some awesome things. I'm so glad to have, you know,
Thank you.
I've been a part of that with you guys, and I wish you the best of luck. It's pretty cool. It's, you didn't ask anything about us using the Anchor, but you're a good host, very selfless.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, because that's been a good addition for us.
Well, awesome. Well, we are super excited to have you on again sometime. You got to come back at another point. I feel like we got to get, you know, way more into the Ridgeline stuff. We've only scratched the surface here. So we're excited to have you back on at a later point. But other than that, thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mike.